Thanks so much for your patience. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay. The University of Arizona experienced a shooting today on its main campus here in Tucson. At approximately 2 p.m., a person entered the John W. Harshbarger building, and one victim was shot. The suspect was initially described as a white male, about 5 feet 8 inches tall, 35 years old, with short brown hair and wearing a blue baseball cap. We initially had sent out U-alerts and emergency messaging to the campus to stay clear of that area as we cleared the building, and I do have a few other updates. I'd like to share a timeline of the incident, if I may. At 1:59 p.m., the University of Arizona Police Department received a call from someone in the Harshbarger building who reported that a former student was in the building. The student wasn't allowed to be in that building. The caller wanted the man escorted out of the building by the police. The University of Arizona Police Department was en route when we received an additional report that someone had been shot inside the Harshbarger building. At 2:06 p.m., we received a second report of that same shooting, not an additional shooting. And then at 2:07 p.m., the reporting party said that the suspect had fled the scene, running away out the main doors of the Harshbarger building. At 2:13 p.m., Tucson fire personnel arrived at the scene to treat one victim who had been shot, and that person was transported to Banner University Medical Center. Unfortunately, in the emergency room, the victim was pronounced deceased by medical personnel. This is regarding case number U, as in Union, 22-1005-0007. Since that time, we identified the suspect who has since been taken into custody. Our custody time today is 1710 hours, and it was the Department of Public Safety that took the suspect into custody after a traffic stop just outside Gila Bend, Arizona. The suspect has been identified as last of Dervish, that's D as in David, E-R, V as in Victor, I-S-H. First of Murad, M as in Mary, U as in Union, R as in Robert, A as in Adam, D as in David, showing a date of birth of 3/15 of 1976. We received quite a bit of regional assistance today, primarily from the Tucson Police Department, who is assisting us at the scene and with the investigation, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and their investigators, the Pima County Attorney's Office and their victim advocates who responded both to the hospital and to the scene to speak with witnesses, and to the Arizona Department of Public Safety, who stopped the suspect and took the suspect into custody again at 5:10 this afternoon. We'd also like to thank the Tucson Fire and paramedics who responded to the scene and transported that victim to the hospital, and Chief Chad Kazmar, who's really been focused on that regional assist for us today. None of this would be possible without our partners. So with that, I'll take a few questions if I'm able to answer them without compromising the investigation.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the relationship between the former student and the professor in the building?
I don't know that I can speak to that directly. I don't know how close that relationship was.
And it was, in fact, a professor?
That's my understanding.
Do you have a name?
We are not releasing that name. That can come from the hospital or from the coroner's office.
There was an incident on campus about a month ago. Somebody with a gun near the student union. Are these tied at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Two totally different incidents.
Was this gang-related?
I'm sorry. No, it was not gang-related.
The person that was inside of the building, so you're saying they were not supposed to be there, so maybe they had been warned before?
That's what it's sounding like. It was someone who was known to the staff member as a former student, and they believed that he should not be in the building.
Were there any other victims or injuries in the scene at Paula?
Not that we're aware of at this time.
Do we know details, things like how many shots were fired, things like that?
I don't know that, and I'm certain the scene is being worked right now. Tucson PD is actually helping us with the crime scene, so to my knowledge, they haven't collected any of that ballistic evidence yet.
Do we know what kind of weapon was used?
It was a handgun, but I don't have other details right now.
So the former student just walks in and opens fire on his professor?
Well, according to the person who called, they came into the building and she saw them, and that gave her enough time to call the police. And before we actually had officers on scene, the shooting occurred.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Are you not releasing the name of the victim?
I don't think that's our information to share, since the person had been transported out of our jurisdiction, and I believe the coroner would probably release that information.
Are you the lead agency in this investigation?
We are the lead agency.
So you should be able to release this.
I am not releasing that information. Thank you, though.
You sent out an update via Twitter saying no need to remain in place or lockdown, to follow that up with an update saying non-essential students and staff, we're asking you to leave campus or return to your residence.
Right.
What was the thinking during that confusion there? Or how confident were you that the suspect was still in the area?
We were very confident that the suspect was not in the area, which is why campus was closed for the evening. Basically, all classes for the evening were canceled, and we just wanted people to leave campus. We had a lot of people that were around the scene that wanted to see what they could see, and it was just easier for us to be able to ask everyone to leave. And again, to my point earlier, suspect was taken into custody at Gila Bend, so that person was clearly not on campus.
Do you know if the Department of Public Safety was able to retrieve that weapon?
I don't have any details on the actual arrest. Literally right before I came out, and that's what actually took a few extra minutes, we were confirming the identity of the person they took into custody, and that's what we were trying to nail down. So I don't have one with me, but we'll try to track one down for you. They will likely be transported to the Pima County Jail, although I don't have a timeline for that, and then the photo would be released through them.
Can you just give us a bottom line on this whole thing with what happened? Just give us a bottom line. Everything worked like clockwork, you got everything going? Give us a bottom line.
Yeah, from the moment we took the initial call in our dispatch center to the time we got officers on scene, it was just minutes, but in that short period of time, that shooting was able to happen. Everything did work like clockwork, though. We got our campus alerts out very quickly. We secured the building very quickly, and as I said, it's a tremendously tragic event. We feel so incredibly bad for the professor's family, friends, and colleagues, and our hearts really just go out to them. It's definitely a tragedy, and I think that it's just one of those things that sometimes you can't even predict. So I'm afraid I'm a bit of a loss for words, just because it is such a tragic situation. Any loss of life.
Did the suspect have a criminal background?
I don't have that information.
Do you know if the gunman had a list of targets and the professor was on it?
I don't have anything like that, no. I don't have any knowledge of that.
Were you able to identify a vehicle or something that clued you into that this suspect was leaving the area and eventually led to DPS finding outside the field?
And again, that's part of the investigation. So the investigative leads that were developed at the scene, both with our people, with Tucson PD, and with the ATF, they used resources to be able to track that person and eventually get that stop.
What's your message to students or faculty who are shaken up by this and obviously want to feel safely on campus, where they go to school, where they live? What's your message to them after something like this?
Absolutely. So here at the University of Arizona, we have a very robust counseling and psychiatric services team called CAPS. And anybody who is experiencing any sort of anxiety or just really impacted by this event, I would suggest that they get in touch with our CAPS team or reach out to a personal provider for any sort of crisis counseling or mental health counseling. This is obviously, as I said, a very tragic event. It's rocked everyone's world, including our first responders and our partners who responded on this. So mental health resources are out there. We actually have a lot of those on our website, and I would just encourage our students, faculty, and staff to ask for the resources they need. And moving forward, if you see something, say something. Part of the reason that this ended up moving so quickly is that somebody in the building recognized the student, knew they didn't belong in the building, and called the police immediately. So hopefully our quick response would have potentially deterred any other violence.
Do we know if the suspect was, because it was a former student, had been a student of this professor who was killed, or if they had any previous relationship, be it personal or professional?
I think it's a possibility, but I personally don't have that information. I'm sorry. I don't have class lists or anything like that.
What department did she teach with?
The professor was in the Department of Hydrology.
As a student in the university,
Yeah.
what would like for me in terms of safety? Like, I would be concerned for my safety now that gun violence is on the rise, that we just had a shooting on campus.
Sure. And I'm flanked by people who have been with this department much longer than I have, and this is such an anomaly for the University of Arizona. We've had quite a bit of crime on the outskirts of campus, kind of outside of what I would describe as kind of our island, which is basically pretty safe. And I think that the takeaway for a lot of people is that people who are angry or people who are experiencing mental health issues, and again, I don't know what the suspect's issue was in this particular case, but if you see something, not just say something, but do something. If you know somebody is struggling with mental health issues or anger issues, that you reach out, and it doesn't always have to be calling the police department, but tell somebody what's going on and share that information, because I'm sure we're all tired of hearing of these situations occurring. It happens coast to coast, and it's happening on a daily basis, and now it's happened here, and I'm sure that's devastating for all of us who are so close to this community.
Professor, was this a male or female?
It was a male professor.
Sorry, this is a follow-up question, but what does it look like for you guys? Are you going to have control more? Are you going to metal detectors in schools? Are there going to be security cameras, anything that because I can only do so much as a student.
Sure. There aren't going to be metal detectors in classrooms. There are not going to be metal detectors in buildings by and large. We do have metal detectors at major events. So if you go to any sort of event, whether it's a musical on campus or you're going to a football game, you are going to go through some sort of security screening, but that's probably not happening in all the buildings on campus. What we have at our disposal are we have a Live Safe app that students can use. We have a messaging system in most classrooms, like a panic button, and this just happened to have occurred in an office. And again, it would be wonderful if we could all feel secure in our workplaces. And I think what it comes down to is that in our society right now, if somebody is angry enough or focused enough, that something like this can happen, unfortunately.
What does tomorrow look like for students, faculty, staff in that building? Is that building closed, not indefinitely, but certainly for a while, or is it just a section? And are classes even campus-wide on for tomorrow?
Classes are on for tomorrow across campus, maybe not in that building, and we're going to have to talk to the building proctor. I'm not sure how long it's going to take to process the crime scene. Certainly, I would imagine the next 4 or 5 hours and maybe longer. So potentially it could be closed off tomorrow, but that's just not information I have right now. But I appreciate the question.
There seems to be some confusion with the university alert system saying, stay away from the building, the classes are canceled, but there's no need to be on lockdown, but also, leave campus if you can.
Yeah.
And you got into that a little bit, but can you
Yeah.
just take us through the process of sending out those messages?
Sure.
And some people maybe saw it as mixed messages where there may not be a threat, but there are signs that it could still be a threat.
Well, and I think it's all in the semantics, right? If we lock down tens of thousands of students, does that mean that we then have to go classroom to classroom to classroom, and how many thousands of classrooms are we going to have to go to clear those and tell people it's okay and that they don't have to shelter there anymore? The best information we had was that the suspect was gone. And as I said, without sharing a lot of investigative information, we had relatively good information that this person was trying to get as far away from here as possible. So that's why we wanted to encourage people to get off campus. If they could leave, please leave. And we didn't want to lock anyone down just because of the logistical nightmare that would have occurred.
Are you able to tell us why the suspect wasn't allowed to be in that building specifically, if there were any altercations prior or anything like that?
I don't have details on that. That very well may be the case. As I said, right before I came out, we didn't even have a confirmation that we had custody. And by we, I mean the Department of Public Safety, law enforcement. So it's all been very rapidly evolving. I will tell you, I was on scene within the first 5 minutes of this call coming out. So I was there with the officers. I was there with the witnesses. And again, it's something that it seems like, yes, it happened about 3 hours ago, but it was a rapidly evolving situation. And then it's trying to look at all those building block pictures and figuring out logistically what we need to do for the integrity of the investigation. So I wish I had more information for you, but I've shared everything that I had right up until the moment I walked out. So I hope that helps you out tonight.
So who's responsible for people who are banned from U of A campus? Is that something that UAPD keeps track of, or is it something that individual departments are keeping track
Individual departments probably know those people the best and know them on site. We have an exclusionary order system here at the university, and again, information on the website if you want a little more detail about that. But we do keep records on file, and certainly we'll be going back and looking through those. To my knowledge, there's no existing exclusionary order on this person.
Can you tell us how many people witnessed the actual crime?
At least 2 people in that initial area, but there were other people that saw the suspect run from the building.
Okay, yeah. Have you been able to interview those witnesses to get their information?
Well, they're still at the scene, so I would imagine our investigators are still talking to them.
Thank you.
The actual shooting happened in an office, is that correct?
Yep.
How long was the shooter on campus?
Well, from the timeline, I don't know when they got on campus. I can only tell you when they were first seen in the building, which was that 1:59 time, and then the time they fled.
Can you do the spelling of the name one more time?
Sure. You're patient with me and my glasses. The last name is Dervish. That's D as in David, E as in Edward, R as in Robert, V as in Victor, I as in Ida, S as in Sam, H as in Henry, and then first phonetically M as in Mary, U as in Union, R as in Robert, A as in Adam, D as in David.
And you pronounce it Murad?
I believe so. Dervish, I'm solid on. First name, you've got my best guess.
Maybe we have to say the birth again.
Sure. 3/15 of 1976. Sure. Any other questions? And if you need business cards for the spelling of my name, I'd be happy to give those out so you don't have to write that down. Nobody wants me to spell that.
Jason did that.
Okay. Anything else I can answer for anyone then? Again, just we appreciate the care and concern of the community. It's just such a tragedy to have this happen, and we'll be the primary agency on the investigation, and any updates that we can provide, we will certainly do that in the coming days. But thank you so much for being here, and thanks for being patient while we tried to get as much information as we could to share with you. We really appreciate you and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.